Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Non Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, we're going to need you to grab your pickaxes and mine for crafting materials, as we're going to be talking survival crafting games. Even joining me, as always, is my player two, who's going to be going out getting the best materials in the game, while I waste them all building pointless crap. Joining me is Ian. How's it going, buddy?
Hey Tim, it's going pretty good tonight. Actually, got rid of the kids, got rid of the dog. Going to be
Like
spending my week.
permanently, or like did you sell them to a traveling circus?
No, because I don't think any circus would want to take my little munchkins.
I mean, I'm sure
Um,
there's a market for them somewhere. I mean, they always need people to get shot out of cannons. I don't condone
right.
shooting children out of cannons. I just want to state that.
I kind of do. Um, yeah. But anyway, no, they're gone for the weekend. I'll get them again on Sunday, but
All right.
I've got some exams to do this weekend
Ooh.
because I am an adult that decided I was going to go back to school for my MBA, and so now I'm paying for it,
There you go.
literally and figuratively, and probably somewhere in between.
Right, right.
So yes, so what you could say is that I am, digging to the depths of the books and mining all of the knowledge that I can in order to build a potentially better future for myself.
You're
Tying
winging
in
it, aren't
metaphors.
you?
Yeah, I'm totally winging it. I'm tying in the metaphors here.
Well, welcome to being an adult, where all you do is wing it, hope for the best.
Yeah, I think we've said it before, and I'll say it again. No adult actually knows what they're doing, folks. We
No,
just
we
kind of
don't.
fake it until we stumble into our successes.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
So anyway, survival crafting games.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk a lot about video games. We talked about Nintendo. We've talked about Xbox, PlayStation, all those other kind of fun stuff. Some of our favorite MMOs. But there's a brand of game that Tim and I think have been pretty into lately for about,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the last year or so.
Yeah, I mean, it really has been like that. That's these kind of games have been our go-to for a while now. I mean, I think it was shortly after the big lockdown last year. We started playing.
Right, right, yeah, and it's something we had talked about before. Tim and I are been best friends for many years. We kind of go through these weird like waveform patterns where we kind of not that we ignore each other, but we just like fall out of touch for a little while and then get back together.
Yeah.
And anyway, lockdown has brought us closer together. Anyway, so yeah,
Duh.
we started playing some of these survival crafting
Hmm.
games. So what do we mean by survival crafting game?
Games in which you survive and craft. See, I'm good at this.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much the most basic explanation. So, for any of you out there not really understanding what we're talking about a game where the core concept is surviving, obviously, but you do this by building stuff. You gather materials, you build things. Kind of think like Minecraft, honestly. It just
Right.
the same general thought process as Minecraft. Um, Sometimes the games are less deadly, sometimes they're more deadly.
Depends on the game,
Sometimes the
really.
crafting is more involved, sometimes the crafting is less involved. Sometimes you accidentally glitch the game and cause infinite resources, and then it just stops being fun.
Oh man, that was the best like 2 hours we've ever played of that game ever because that's all we've played of it.
Yes,
We'll,
exactly.
we'll talk about that one here in a bit, I assume.
Yes, we will. So I'm going to start with kind of an older game that we haven't played together, but we have played together. You've played it on your own, I've played it on my own,
Mhm.
which is Subnautica.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic game.
Oh, yes, yes,
Such a fun game, beautiful game.
yes.
Um,
That is one of like the best ocean. I don't even know what you'd call it.
sur-
Designs. I guess
survival.
environments. That's the word. One of the
Yeah,
one of the best ocean environments I have ever seen in the game.
yeah. Well, I mean that's the entire game,
Well,
right?
yeah. I
It's
mean,
in the
they
ocean,
kind of had to get that right. I mean, if they didn't
right?
get that right, there's the whole game.
Right. So I played through. I played Subnautica for several months.
Hmm.
Really, it's still installed on my desktop. In point of fact, it's the icon is staring. The peeper fish is staring me right in the face.
There you go.
Um, but it's one of those games that I really enjoyed. It's kind of like wouldn't say it's too much of a chill game
Hmm.
unless you did what I did and played, play for a while on regular mode and then decided to jump in creative just so that you could have a little bit of fun and kind of
Right.
explore different biomes and whatnot, which is what I did.
There you go.
So I think I spent most of my time in creative mode. I built a sub and just kind of tooled around the environments.
Yeah, I mean, I did that as well for a bit, just because I wanted to kind of get a feel for like, okay, where are certain materials at? You know, what's in this biome, things like that.
Yeah.
I ended up building a rather elaborate base on that underwater, obviously. That I don't remember what was causing it, but like for some reason it kept catching on fire. Which, if you're under the ocean, that's not a thing you want to have happen.
I mean,
Or no, it was flooding. It was
realistic.
flooding. Excuse me.
I was gonna say, I'm like, fire. I mean, that makes sense if it's producing oxygen. You can have a facility that catches fire. It's probably
Right.
like on the space station, right? Where
Oh
fire,
God.
fire bad, fire equal death,
Like that
because
would be
there's
a
nowhere for
horror.
the fire to
Yeah, that
go.
would be a horrible. I mean, on the plus side, if there's a hole rupture, the fire will go out, but so will you.
Well, the problem is that it's burning the oxygen. So long as you're producing oxygen in that area,
It's
it's
just
going to
gonna.
continue to burn,
Yeah.
even though it's venting that fire. So in order to get a fire out in space, you have to seal that area off and then basically cut off the oxygen
Right.
from there. Um,
But no,
so yeah,
it kept flooding, not burning. Excuse me.
yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah,
But yeah, that
so
was fun.
Subnautica, very beautiful game, a lot of fun to play. Just really kind of one of those things that I had the most fun just exploring.
Yeah. Same. Same.
Um, exploring, seeing the different biomes, the creatures.
Hmm.
The first time you're in the very mini sub was like the sea turtle or
Right.
something like that, and you get attacked by a hydra
Yeah. Not fun.
behemoth or whatever they're called, and you crap your pants while this thing is trying to eat you.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Um, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. But it was a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah.
I felt like the crafting was really involved in that one. There's a lot of materials and stuff that it
Yes.
takes
Yes,
to,
there are.
yeah. So
I mean,
it's
one that's kind of similar to that you and I did play together, and we played for a long while. And I know we're both waiting on this next update for it to start playing it again. Raft.
yeah,
We spent a crap ton of time in that game. I mean,
yeah,
even after the most recent update, when we did everything, we still kept playing for a while because we loved the game. Our well, I don't even know if we can call it a raft at this point. I mean, it's a
it's a
small
self.
yacht.
Yeah, it's a self-propelled, self-sustaining yacht. We
Yep,
have beehives to produce biofuel.
lots of beehives.
Lots of beehives. We have a plantation. We have a farm.
Well, we have
Here,
our automatic harvesting system with nets literally around the entire perimeter. So if we run
yes,
over something, we collect it.
yes. What did we call it? What
The
was it? The SS Sharknado
the
7.
Sharknado 7, yep. And we have
Yes,
the shark head mounted on the front of it.
yes. So, to give you guys a little bit of background, Raft is again another one of those survival crafting games. The start of the game, it's a very basic premise,
Oh
really.
yeah.
Really, you are literally stuck on a 4x4 square
Mhm.
in the middle of the ocean with nothing except
Yep.
the clothes on your back when it starts, and you
Yep.
have to survive.
Yeah.
And what survive means is you have to expand your raft,
Mm-hmm.
you have to catch food, and you have to desalinize water.
Yeah.
Make salt water drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
All of this while avoiding getting eaten by that goddamn shark.
Oh, Bruce, you leave Bruce alone.
I mean, for the amount of Bruce heads that we have in storage containers,
He should leave us
uh,
alone. This is your
really
only
should.
warning, Bruce.
Right. Yeah, so Raft is another one of those survival games that's really open world. Like there's a story, and it's actually a
Yeah.
pretty interesting
Yeah,
story.
it's presented in a very bare bones way, but with enough intrigue that you're like, okay, well, what is going on here? Why do we keep finding all these like little settlements with nobody in it? Why are we the only one? How did we get here? And they
Hmm.
drip feed you just enough to keep you interested, but not too much. You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna call it now. This is why.
Right. And for me, I think the game itself is fun.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
not a lot of crafting materials, but there's a lot of things you can make from them,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting and really cool to me. And they're
Yeah.
fairly basic, crafting materials. What is it? Plastic.
Plastic,
plastic, wood,
the palm leaves.
yeah,
I mean,
palm
you can
leaves,
make various things like rope. You can
yeah,
gather
sand,
rocks.
rocks, and
Uh,
then some ore.
yeah, ores, things like that. And you can make things like you can make smelters. You can make, I mean, heck, you can make paint by gathering flowers and building a paint mixer. Um, you
Right,
can
which
even
I
hunt
don't know if
seagulls.
I don't know if you saw that, but I think in the last patch
Hmm.
they said that the paint mixer now will only mix when the raft is moving.
Which makes sense because it's on a little like pulley type
Yeah,
thing with a little
it's on a
paddle in the
paddle
water.
wheel. Yeah.
That makes sense, honestly.
Some of the things that don't necessarily make sense in that game is your ability to build advanced electronic devices out of plastic and sand.
I
Um,
mean, maybe our characters were, Tony Stark in a past life or something. I don't know.
right, even though one of the characters is like a 13-year-old girl.
Well, I'm right.
Then you can also, make internal combustion engines that run off of naturally burning ethanol.
Right?
Um,
Because everybody knows how to make that off of a basic blueprint.
right, exactly.
But I mean, well,
The
I'm not complaining about any of this. It's a little
no, no,
funny
no,
thing, yeah.
no, no. But we're kind of diverting off of the path, which is, a fairly common thing here.
It's a
But
thing we do.
right, the story I think in that game really kind of grabbed me
Hmm.
and really intrigued me when you and this is I don't think this is going to spoil anything for anybody when you get to the yacht.
Yeah,
That was where it really grabbed me. Like the first place you go to is like, all right, whatever.
yeah.
But when you get to the yacht, you're like, huh, all right. And then you start reading some of the journal entries, and it's like, oh. So the game itself doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
Like there's no voice acting in this game except for the grunts and groans of your character. Like when you're
As you
you
inevitably
know
fall off everything.
well that well usually that's us screaming after we fall into the ocean and have the shark coming after us.
Very true.
Or you're running through the boat and you fall through the hole where the anchor is.
That's. I wish there was a way to like not have that. But I mean, I know we need the anchor.
Yeah, you need the anchor. But what I'm referring to is the characters have very minimal voice lines, or the groaning if you're like thirsty or hungry and something.
So you're like they sound like they're dying, because they are. But I mean, they
Right,
did stuff some really good acting for grunts.
right. And there's a couple of different game modes that you can play on. So there's the normal survival game mode where the shark tries to eat you, and then there's
See, peaceful
like
or the equivalent
there's
of.
peaceful where nothing will like you can still progress to the game, but nothing will attack you.
Mm.
You still have to eat and drink,
Yep.
but you don't have to like
Worry
you
about
don't have to worry
enemies.
about right. You don't have to worry about the shark trying to eat your
Yeah,
face.
and he
Uh,
will.
he will. And then there's creative mode, which is like you just get free reign to build whatever you want to. But in order to preserve the game, they made it so that you can't actually progress the story. Like you're literally just out in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
You will never run into land. You
Yep.
can't move the boats or anything like that. And then there's like extreme mode,
Which is like
which
hardcore.
right. I don't think you and I have never played on it together
I
at
don't think so.
least. But you have to eat, you have to drink. I think you have to sleep,
Yeah.
and you will get seasick.
Really, I didn't know about that
Yeah,
part.
yeah, you'll get nauseous. So, like dirt in like heavy storms and whatnot, because there is
Yeah.
weather effects in that
Yeah.
game too.
Yep.
So
There is.
so it's really disconcerting the first time that your raft takes a giant wave and you think you're gonna get pushed over the edge, but you just kind of stand there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Or
even
when
after you realize that you're not going to, it's still very concerning.
right, or when the raft takes a giant wave that the shark is riding and it just like flies over the raft at you.
Shark.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. That one's terrifying, but all in all, it's a really fun game that I think a lot of people should play.
Oh,
It's technically
absolutely.
an early it's technically an early access game. I think it's like $20
Right
on.
around. It's absolutely even at $30. It is absolutely worth it. Highly recommend
Yeah,
it. 10 out of 10.
yeah. I think it's Red Beat Studios is
Yeah.
the people that make it. It's like an indie group. 5 people I think are on their
Yeah.
development
It's
team.
it's a
Last
pretty
time I
small
saw.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're trying. I think they
Yeah.
produce an update about every 4 to 6 months right now, besides patches.
Yeah.
So, um, and it's also a very beautifully done game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
graphically, it's definitely not going to be like your high end AAA title,
Mhm.
but for a 5 person studio, it's a beautiful game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
Very smooth graphics.
Mhm.
There's obviously a little bit of clipping and things like that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean,
You
again,
know,
it's a very small team. I mean, for what they have to work with, phenomenal job.
hmm yeah. If you want something that you can just like peacefully kind of go and do stuff in, I suggest Raft.
Oh yeah.
Like, cause your sister and brother-in-law, they'll just like go. They used to at least log into the game and just fish.
Yeah.
Like that's literally all they did, right?
Yeah.
They'd log in on on our raft and fish.
Yeah. And then they just leave and leave us a
And
bunch
then
of fish, which hey, whatever, They
right,
enjoyed fishing.
right. If I do have to, if I could though provide a critique of the game, I
Yeah.
will
What do you
say
got?
this is the one. This is the one downside that I do think that there is the game. There's no centralized server
Hmm.
functionality, so you can't run a dedicated server. You can't have off-site dedicated servers. Like it's not something that is always available. So if you play with friends like Tim and I do,
Yeah.
Tim is the one that his account has our our world,
Our
our raft on,
Sharknado.
our Sharknado on. So if I want to play just by myself, I can't log into that world. I have to log
Yeah.
into my own local world and basically do everything from scratch or from the beginning. So
Yeah.
that is
That
one
would be
downside.
that would be a nice update for that game is to have like some kind of functionality for that. So,
hmm
or at least like maybe like some kind of like a persistent map system, or something along those lines. Yeah, that would be a nice upgrade for it.
Yeah, I mean, even something as simple as cloud storage of the server files.
Right.
So, much similar to like, Office 365 or something like that, where multiple people can at least get to the server files
Hmm.
and the game will read the server files from the cloud
There you go.
and then, it updates in real time. I think that would be something that would be really relatively simple to implement, but what
There
do
you
I
go.
know? I haven't coded much in several years, so
Right. You just tell people what to code.
exactly. I surround myself with smart people, so I have to work less hard. Exactly.
Yay me.
So,
But yeah, we
any
have a
other
lot.
thoughts on?
I mean, it's the server thing is like really the only thing that I would say if they were to add a feature, like if they were to give you a list of things like, hey, we're going to add one of these things, that would probably be what I'd pick on it. I mean, apart from that, like, I mean, like you said, the graphics aren't going to be your big studio AAA game, but that's one of the things I like about it is they're not bad graphics by any means. They're just
Mhm.
I don't want to say simplified because that really understates it, but they are. It is a very simple graphic system, but it's still
I
very,
would
very, very beautiful.
I would equate the graphics to about a Xbox 360 PS3 era.
I'd say mid to late life on those would be yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
yeah,
I mean, it's not going to win any best graphics of the year awards,
right.
but it's a beautiful game. I mean, the music in it is very very calming, very soothing. Like Ian
Unless you
said,
put on the techno music.
well, yeah, that yeah, because that's one thing that you can build a radio in this game. Um, but no, I mean, all in all, I mean, the art direction's great in it. The sound direction's great in it. The story, like you said, is very intriguing, very engaging, but presented in a very minimalist way
hmm
that really, kind of like I said earlier, makes you think, okay, well, what happened? What's going to happen? Why is this happening? So yeah, I
Right.
mean, all in all, I really enjoyed Raft. If you guys can't tell, that's a game that we're both very fond of.
Yep, and very eagerly awaiting their next update for.
Yep.
Their last dev blog update was just an April Fool's joke talking
Which
about seagulls. It was the seagull update.
Yep, with seagulls that have navy military attack tactics. Which I'm like,
Yes,
okay, I would actually like to see that implemented just as like a a side server patch as a joke. You can at least try it out. But
there is no cow level.
exactly. But no, yeah, we're definitely both waiting on this next update. We've put a lot of hours into that game.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. So if we want to actually go by our timeline, I think the next one on the list is Scrap Mechanic.
Which
Uh,
now that was also done by the same studio, wasn't it?
no, but
No.
it was one that looked like it was done
Th-
by the same
there
studio.
was another survival game that we played that was the same studio, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
I don't think there was though.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Are you thinking of like Satisfactory, which I didn't play?
And see, now I never actually picked that one up, but I really thought about it because at the time I had watched a bunch of Let's Plays of it. But anyway, no, Scrap Mechanic.
Yeah.
We kind of somewhat alluded to this at the top of the show. So Ian and I gave it a shot because we were waiting on an update for Raft. And we're like, this similar vein, let's try it out. We played it for a couple hours, and maybe the last hour to two that we were playing it, something glitched up in the game and was letting us craft items without the materials. And whenever you would craft something, even if you had the materials, it wouldn't use them. If you put an item that you crafted down, you would have the thing that you put down plus the original item still in your inventory. So our inventory was full of stuff that we just couldn't get rid of. And we were making like high end, at the time, end game items and end game
Hmm.
vehicles. They're like, oh, this is awesome. Let's try this out. And we're like, oh, well, what do we do now? Because we've kind of experienced everything.
Well, remember, you say end game vehicles. You had to build the vehicles from the ground up. So
Well,
Tim
high
spent
end materials for the vehicles, I should say. Then,
right,
yep.
right. So Tim spent a lot of his time just like tinkering with our quote unquote car, trying to get that to work right. And it was
I don't know if you'd call that a
really,
car, Ian.
yeah, it was really kind of like goofy.
It's
I understand what they were going for. You know, you have to do like weight balance and get the axles right and
Yep.
things like that. But like,
It was
four wheels and each
very touchy.
wheel, yeah, each wheel could technically turn independently,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to have like a wide base, otherwise
The whole thing would
know
just
the
tip over,
right, it would just tip over, or in some cases you would just like
tip forward,
right,
tip
just
backwards.
and
Yeah.
just completely flip the vehicle.
Well, I think I had attempted to make a vehicle with a drill on the front. So like, well, let's see what we can do with this. And after like tinkering with it, I thought I finally had it. We took it off the hoist. I turned it on, and it just like went like front end or back end up, and then just started spinning there on the ground. I'm like, no, Ian, I ain't got it. I ain't got it.
yeah. Another one of those very minimalist games. I think there was more enemies in that one, more different enemies because we mostly got attacked by the hay baling bots, I think.
Right.
Um, but it was, yeah, it was just one of those games that very quickly lost its luster after we broke the game. I'm sure it probably would have reset itself after we logged back in, but it just it stopped being fun, especially because as part of this glitch that Tim was telling you about, if you I found that if I crafted a crafting station, like a replicator or something like that, and set it down, it would create one, but I would still have the one in my hands. And I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't unequip it. So I think I had like tried to yeet about 50 replicators off of myself before I was just like running around with what was essentially like a machine 3 times as big as my dwarf character
Yeah.
um, in my hands, and there were like 49 of them out in the field in front of our little base,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get rid of them.
So okay,
Um,
I looked it up. I wasn't insane. The creator of Scrap Mechanic, Axolot Games, are actually the publishers of Raft and have invested in Red Beat Interactive.
yes,
So,
I
I
also
wasn't
while I
insane.
was while I was talking, I was looking that up as well, and I was going to mention it, but yes.
And I
So
was
they
going to say,
are.
like, I thought I remember seeing the Red Beat logo on Scrap Mechanic or
You saw the
something.
axolot. You saw the
Axolot.
axolot
Yeah,
logo.
that's right.
Is
Because
what
it's
it
got
was.
the little axolot or
Yeah.
axolotl. How do that little cute sea creature or water? It's not a sea creature, is it?
I
They're water going
I
beasties.
I don't
I don't know.
know.
Is it an amphibian? I don't know. Anyway, you've seen them. They're cute. I have yet to see one of
Yes.
those things that's not adorable. But yeah, with had it not been for that bug, I feel that we probably would have played a bit more scrap mechanic. And I mean, that may be an isolated incident with just our game. Um, One thing that scrap mechanic didn't have that Raft did, Raft, like we said, had a very minimalist story. Scrap mechanic, scrap mechanic had no story to it. You were literally just, you were some kind of space dwarf. Your ship crashed on this planet. Go. If there was a
Well,
story there, I didn't see it.
there was no narrative
Yeah,
like telling of the story because again, we were on a planet that was previously inhabited,
yeah,
and then there were no people there. They were just like they were helper robots that were now like murder robots trying to kill you.
yep.
So and that was
It's the age old. You know, these robots are supposed to protect the stuff that you or the crops and things and the materials you built. And their AI goes, well, the best way to do the thing that destroys them the most are the humans. If we destroy the humans, these things will be safe. Yeah, we haven't seen that
yeah,
trope before in any
right.
time a robot goes crazy.
I think there was a spot, remember, where we did run into another living character. They were in that cage
Hmm.
getting roasted by the robot, and we
Yeah,
had to figure out a way to get the
never
cage
did. We
back.
never did. Like we didn't figure out how to. Oh no, did we? Did we open
No,
that?
because I
No.
think he burned to death. I think he got burned to
Oh,
death because he was in like an inferno. Because we were
yeah,
trying to figure out how to get the cage back. Because I think in order to get
because
it
it was in
back, you
like a
had to
ball.
build. Yeah, it was a big steel ball.
Yep.
Like you had to build a car with like a winch on it or
Yep.
something that you could load the cage up and get him out of there.
And we never did.
Yeah, we never did. I think we accidentally knocked him into a fire
I think
and
so.
roasted him. So
Oopsie.
oops. So
It happens.
yeah, scrap mechanic, interesting game.
Yeah.
Not one. I mean, I've since uninstalled it from my computer, so
Yeah.
I
Same. Like it's still
I
on
don't
my
know.
Steam list, but like I don't know if it's one that I'll go back to.
Oh yeah, no. I completely agree with that.
I mean,
It's not
it's a
one.
fun idea. I mean, if I could see how with a little bit of polish it could be a good game. Not
Yeah,
saying it's a bad game, but our personal experience on it just it wasn't for us.
yeah. I would concur with that
Yeah.
sentiment. So kind of moving on the list a little bit more. In that same vein, I'd mentioned it. There's other games kind of like that, like Astroneer and Satisfactory, and then there's other games within that general genre which we know about but we have not played. I own Satisfactory, but I've never actually played it.
See, and Astroneer, that was on Game Pass. It may still be.
It is because
That
I have
one,
it downloaded. I just haven't played it.
I see that one. I played a little bit of it. A really neat concept. With a lot of these survival crafting games, there is very minimal hand holding.
Hmm.
Astroneer is one that I feel could use a little bit more hand holding because, like at the beginning, it gives you, your basics. You're going to want to build this, this, and this, and then after that, it's pretty bare bones. But with the amount of stuff in that game, I feel like maybe some kind of in-game like help, and if there is one, I just didn't notice it, would definitely help this game. It's not again not a bad game. I liked it, but it was almost too complex.
Mm.
But not in a bad way. I mean, if I spent more time with it and actually fiddled with it more, I'd probably be able to figure stuff out. But I mean, I figured out how to dig holes straight down and find rare stuff. I have no idea what to do with it, but I have it.
Yeah, to me that's kind of like the game Space Engineers, which I think is really was kind of like the alpha, not the alpha, but it was like the OG version of the space survival crafting game.
Yeah, it's definitely one of
Um,
the earliest success stories.
right. It's still a very well played game that does have server support. You and I have never played it together. I've only really tinkered in it a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same. Like I
Um,
think I booted it up, walked around, and that was about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a very complex game. There
Mm.
are hundreds of building pieces, and the material list I don't believe is very large, but it's it's Minecraft in space. Like
Right.
there is just a ridiculous amount of stuff that you can build, and it's freeform. Like so, you can build massive capital ships and
Oh,
everything
right
like
on.
that. And diggers and miners and space fighters
Mm.
and you can wage war with your enemy, with your friends or your enemies, your frenemies.
There you go.
your ex-girlfriends, whatever you it may be.
There you go.
Uh, but yeah, I've not. I've some of my favorite streamers play it. Pray it. Oh, some of my favorite streamers play it, and watching them play it, it's really interesting. I feel like there's a pretty big learning curve, and I'd need to
Right.
spend a lot of time to go
It,
and
it
figure
it
it out.
sounds like it. From what I've seen on it as well. I'd agree.
Yeah. There was one that you and I had also talked about playing for a while, The Forest.
Yeah, which when you told me about it, I had never heard about it.
Hmm.
So I did, I went on YouTube, found a streamer that had played it, and he was playing it solo, and I watched it and got really intrigued in it. And then more recently, I saw that Markiplier and some of his friends were playing it, so I'm like, okay, I get a sense now. I can get a sense of what this is like as a multiplayer game. And watching those, it's like I really want to play it, but between Markiplier and that other streamer whose name escapes me at this point, I've seen enough of the story behind it that I'm like, well, would the experience be ruined for me because I've already seen all this?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I want to play it, and see that's one of the problems with that I see with let's plays and things like that. Is it's fun to watch to get an idea for it, but if the content creator is interesting enough, you're going to keep watching it. And then, like, for me, it's very much 50-50 of if I'm going to go out and play that game or not.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm kind of the same way. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's some games that I really want to play,
Yeah.
and I really look at, and I think it's really cool. There's others that I'm content to watch people play it.
Right.
Um,
Games that you may
so
not necessarily buy anyway, but you're at least interested in it enough to watch it.
yeah, exactly. There's some games on my Steam wish list that have popped up that
Yeah.
like, oh, this is on sale, and I look at it, I'm like, one, I'm never gonna have any time to play that,
Right.
and two, Tim's probably not gonna get it, and I don't
Right.
necessarily want to play it by myself.
See,
So as an
I
example,
run into that as well a lot.
yeah, as an example, I just pulled up my Steam wish list. 7 Days to Die is on there, which is another survival builder game. Very
I
much in the.
Do I own that? I don't
I don't.
remember.
Well, let's find out. It's on my wish list. It's currently very popular. It doesn't look like any of my friends also own this game.
See, that's one that I don't remember if I had played it at some. Is that on console as well, or is that PC
Um,
only?
I'm not sure. It's on
'Cause
PC.
it's
Who's the
been so long since I've thought
publisher?
about that one. I don't remember if I played it or if I just
Huh.
watched some streamers playing it at some point. But I mean, obviously,
Well,
I
it's
don't own it.
to be fair. I mean, it's still in early access, and it was released December 13th of 2013.
So
Uh,
yeah.
the publisher is the Fun Pimps.
Okay. Okay.
So
I
there's
mean,
that.
fun group of guys there.
Yes. Anyway, I mean, it's got very positive reviews.
Oh yeah.
Got over 114,000 reviews on Steam. But again, it's another one of those games that it's a zombie survival
Yeah.
builder game. So
Which I mean,
you
those
build.
were big for a while. Like everything was a zombie survival game for a good couple of years there.
Yeah, and people modded the crap out of it so that they could do more of less worry about the zombies, more either multiplayer
Hmm.
or base building. Again, a streamer that I watch I did a video essay series about like Daisy,
Yep. Yep. I remember that one.
Daisy and Arma.
Yep.
Um, so they were talking about like their inceptions and how they have survived as games, and Daisy one, it was actually a mod for Arma 2, I
Yep.
believe,
Yep. Arma 2.
that they then spun off into its own actual thing.
Right.
Right. So anyway, yeah. I mean, there's some others like going back to the Forest. I'm kind of of the same mindset as you. I've seen enough of it. That said, they are releasing a sequel to the Forest,
I saw the trailer for that. Yeah.
which you and I have talked about a little bit. It's
Hmm.
called The Son of the Forest, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah. Let's hope it's not like
Yeah.
Son of the Mask. Shudders.
Yes. Um, that CG. Oh God.
that plastic hair.
Yes,
Anyway, so yeah, the sequel to Forest. That's one
yeah.
that I'm keeping an eye on it.
I am too. I'm going to try to avoid watching too much about it beyond just like the trailers.
Yeah,
That way, I don't oversaturate myself with it.
because I feel like had I watched just a bare like minimum like 10 minutes of play of the first Forest, I probably would have bought it. But having watched so much of it, yeah, same thing. So I'm probably going to avoid watching anything about the second one beyond trailers or official press releases.
Yep. There's another one that's on my wish list that I had forgotten about that I have it on there. It's from System Reaction. It was released October 13th of 2020. It's called Second Extinction.
Okay.
And it appears to be kind of like a first-person survival shooter against dinosaurs.
I mean, is it similar to Ark, which I played that one actually.
It may have something similar, but I'm not 100% certain because again, I haven't played this one yet, so
Gotcha.
it's hard for me to say. It seems to be more of like an action co-op
Gotcha.
type game. Less survival, but it's the talk of Steam wishlist just made me think about it.
There you go.
And I always remember, I still finally remember the one arcade that was within spitting distance of where we grew up. Had a Jurassic Park.
Oh god, yeah, the actual
The,
like big like
yeah, the
sit
one
in
that
thing.
you sat in with the light
Yep,
guns.
yep, I remember
Yeah,
that because we went
yeah, and
there.
I used to.
We went there a couple times.
Yeah, but I mean, I was there with my parents a few times, and I would play the crap out of that
Dude,
game. Like,
yes.
it was a lot of fun. So it kind of reminded me of that, which is why I'm somewhat interested in it. Yeah, it's on Steam and it's on sale right now.
Oh, there you go.
Um,
Might be something to look
oh wait,
into.
no, sorry, not that one. 7 Days to Die is on sale.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I had Steam minimized. Second Extinction is not on
Okay.
sale right now. Anyway, but moving back to the genre, I think you were going to say something about a game. I don't remember. I might have interrupted you.
Well, no, I mentioned that I had played Ark for a while when that first
Oh
came
yes,
out
yes.
because
Arc.
like everybody was playing that when it came out. It seemed like. I mean, it was fun, good concept. I mean, really good crafting, but it just didn't hold me long term like a lot of these other ones did. I played it, oh, maybe for a month, on and off. I mean, it was fun. It just didn't hold my attention too well.
Some of the guys from my original Destiny 1 clan
Mm.
still play Ark.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember that like I remember them when we were not playing Destiny, like I jumped on and was playing Fallout 4 and I'd jump into voice chat with them and they were on Ark.
Oh, there you go.
Playing Ark, talking about like raiding settlements
Right.
and stuff like that. But there's another one that's in that vein, Rust.
Which is
If
one,
you
yeah, one I haven't played.
I've not played it either, but I've seen it again. Some of my favorite streamers have played it. It's kind of like it's like Fallout survival, like it post-apocalyptic. You build bases, like
Okay.
it's kind of like you have to collect materials type thing too. So you go out and you have to like mine rocks and smack trees with hatchets and stuff like
Right.
that. But you can like make guns and make armor and like you build a base and
Okay.
like you can put like locks and these you can put locks on the doors and like keypads and stuff like that to make it more secure and things like that. It looks interesting. I just
Yeah.
and I think it just came to consoles
Oh, okay.
not that long ago. At least Xbox I think it came
Right.
to. I'm not sure about that the white toaster oven that you have sitting underneath your TV.
You leave my George Foreman grill alone. I mean, it
You
is.
play a graphically intense game, and you actually will be able to cook an egg on that thing.
Not like the KFC console where you can actually keep your chicken warm.
Oh God. Which, speaking of which, have you seen that? I think is it Hallmark or Lifetime Channel is doing a Colonel Sanders based love movie starring Mario Lopez as Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sandals is a completely different character.
Colonel Sanders.
Like Saved by the Bell, Mario Lopez
Yes, Slater.
as the Colonel.
Yes.
Like, okay, at first when you were saying it, they're making a Colonel Sanders. The next word out of your mouth I was expecting was documentary. Which I'm like, okay, that'd be kind of interesting to learn about the real guy. But then you said love story, and part of me is disgusted, but the other part of me kind of wants to see it.
Yes, so it is. It is called A Recipe for Seduction.
You're kidding me.
No, I am not kidding you. I will
What the
find
crap?
yeah, I will find and send you. Actually, I did find the link to
Yeah.
the YouTube trailer.
Oh
So
my
I have sent that to you. We can watch it after the show. But maybe next time, guys, we'll do a movie critique
We'll do
and
a review of a
do
recipe for love or
a
whatever.
recipe for seduction.
Seduction.
Yeah. So. Um,
Welcome to the world we live in, folks. This is reality. There's nothing you can do to change that.
yeah. Don't make
Wow.
a movie
But
about anything.
okay, so anyway, survival games. Are we going to see a, KFC inspired survival game anytime soon? You have to find the 11 secret herbs and spices.
Is it 11 or is it 21? I don't remember.
Dr. Pepper is 21 flavors.
That's right.
KFC is 11. 11 secret
That's right.
herbs and spices known only to the Colonel's ghost.
Right.
Which, I mean, apparently only known to a few KFCs because their chicken is hit or miss. I mean, when it's good, it's great. But
Yeah, but it has to be like most of the time you go there, it's probably like a 85% chance that you're gonna get the trots afterwards.
well, I mean,
'Cause-
I will say their new chicken sandwich they've been toting. I mean, like every fast. I know we're getting off topic, but every fast food is doing a new chicken sandwich right now. The McDonald's one is actually pretty good. I was kind of surprised. The spicy one at McDonald's, I didn't expect it to be that spicy.
You're not a spicy guy either.
Well, okay. I like spice if it adds flavor. I don't like stuff that's hot for the sake of being hot. I like it hot that adds flavor to it.
Right.
But KFC's chicken sandwich, at least the one I had, was really good. Like they're giving Chick-fil-A a run for their money on this, in my opinion. But okay, anyway, enough about the Colonel,
Yep.
who I'm sure is a distant cousin of mine.
Probably. They're all a bunch of never mind.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
um,
moving on.
moving on.
Yeah, so survival games, Rust. I'm pretty sure it's out on Xbox now, or at least will be very soon. It's been on PC for a while.
Yeah.
Again, not a game that I know that I'm gonna check out anytime soon. I just don't have the time.
Right.
And we've kind of got our fingers into other survival games right
Yeah.
now.
I mean,
Uh,
like the one that I say we, as the royal we, I haven't been on in like 2 weeks. We've been playing a lot of Valheim.
yes. So, Valheim, ladies and germs, it's probably the hot IP right now.
Oh, yeah.
In survival horror game or survival horror. It can be a horror
I
if
mean-
you wind up in the plains and get zapped by a mosquito.
Dude, the first time I came across one of those things, like those things come out of nowhere.
Yeah, they provide very little ambient noise. They are very fast, and they can pretty much one-shot you. Little glass cannons. They're very fragile, but they hurt
Yeah.
a lot.
Yes, they do. Did we ever find
Anyway.
that boat I lost because of that?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I think we did. So yeah, Valheim, Viking-based survival game. You play a dead Viking.
Yeah.
Who Odin sends to the world of Valheim to basically clean it up for him, as
Go do
your
my dirty work.
right, pretty much as your task in order to get into Valhalla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. So something it does that some of these other survival games don't really do is it actually provides a little bit of like narration and story and tutorials and things like that. So
Through
no,
Mugen.
right through Mugen, the one of Odin's crows.
Yep,
They're
Mugen and
Hugin.
Hunin. And I'm pretty sure I'm butchering the names. Sorry.
I believe it's Mugen and Hugin.
Hugin. Is it Hugin
Yeah.
or Hunin?
I think it's Hugin.
Anyway, one of Odin's, two ravens.
Correct. So you're dropped into the world, and it's a survival crafting game.
Mhm.
So one of the interesting things is like you don't actually have to eat or sleep in this game. It's not a requirement.
Yeah, which I think was a welcome change of pace. Now, I mean, that's being said, if you do, eat or drink or rest even, you do get temporary bonuses to your health, your stamina, as well as your stamina regeneration and overall depletion of said stats, which is kind of nice. So you can go through the entire game not eating or drinking anything, and you can still do it. It's just going to be a lot more challenging.
Yeah, you better know how to block like
Yeah.
literally everything
Yep.
because you have a base health of 25,
Yeah.
and even with the best armor in the game, I think Deathsquito can still hit you
Oh
for
yeah.
like 20 damage.
Oh yeah. You're gonna go down real quick.
Hmm. So, Valheim, you're thrust upon this world, and you have to go defeat the currently five bosses
Hmm.
in order to kind of clean up the land. It's an early access game. It came out late last year. Um,
But to huge success thus far.
Huge success. I mean, there have been, I believe, 5 million copies that have
So,
been sold.
last I saw was over 6
Over
million.
6 million copies. So,
Yeah,
this is developed by Iron Gate Studios. They're a studio out of Norway,
they
I
come from
believe.
the land of the ice and snow.
Right. um, they they're Norwegian, I
Yeah,
believe. They're Vikings.
they're
That's
Vikings.
their right. That's their shtick.
Yep.
Um, but they've done it very well.
Oh,
I feel
absolutely.
like they've incorporated decent lore. They've the graphics wise, they're kind of a weird dichotomy because like
Yeah, we've talked about
you
this
know
on an earlier episode, actually.
yeah, so like the graphics look like something that's being off like the PS2 in like
I
the
think even
character
even that's
models.
being generous.
Right, character models are very blocky.
Mhm.
They're
Textures are
they're
very low
polygonal.
res.
Yeah, textures are very low res. And then you get the lighting effects and the water effects,
Which
and you're like,
like the lighting, I mean, is so beautiful in this game. I mean,
right,
like there's times where I'll just stop by a campfire just to watch the way like light is bouncing off stuff, or how a pillar in a random building is blocking the light just like perfectly. It's such a weird mishmash, but it works. It really does work.
yeah, it's a very beautiful, very engaging game. And it has a lot of
Absolutely.
really fun mechanics,
Hmm.
and um, it's one of those games, folks, that I'll tell you this: the difficulty curve on that thing is like logarithmic and
Yeah.
logarithmic. If you know what a logarithmic curve looks like, it kind of starts out flat, a little bit,
And shoots straight up.
and yeah, shoots
Yeah.
straight up
Yes, it does.
once you get out of the Black Forest, which is the second biome. Then it's pucker Uranus, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean,
Uh,
that's a good descriptor.
yeah, the first time Tim and I wound up in the swamp, we wound up going through 3 boats and I think 5 corpse runs.
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, 4 or 5 corpse runs. Yeah,
Right. We got our stuff back and our
eventually,
boats,
eventually.
actually. Yeah. So
As we both
it's
take a drink
definitely
at the same time,
yeah,
there, awkward
yeah,
silence.
bad timing on our part.
Well, and then like the
Tonight's flavor is brought to you by ginger lemon tea.
ooh, see, I was having some mint tea with honey earlier, and now I'm drinking good old pure leaf raspberry.
Mm,
I mean, hey, you know
yum.
what? For like pre-bottled tea, it's good.
Yeah, that's about the only pre-bottled tea my brother will drink. So
Yeah, but well, the funny thing about that particular swamp run on Valheim is that ended up not even being a good spot for us to put a base. And that was the
yeah,
whole thing is
no.
we were trying like we're like, oh right there looks great. There's plenty of water access. This is perfect. And then it ended up being a really crap spot because there was nothing around there at all.
Yeah, because once we actually got our crap back and started exploring around, that particular area of swamp was like all of, I don't know, maybe 100 square yards.
If that, yeah. I mean
Like
it
there
was
was
pretty
literally
small.
nothing in there except everything that wanted to eat your face.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
So it ended up being
so
a huge waste, but I mean it was a good learning experience. So
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a good learning experience. But so yeah, Valheim. Base building, construction type stuff, exploration.
Oh yeah.
Like the world is massive.
Yes,
Like
yes, absolutely.
it is just ridiculously big.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's biomes that haven't even been implemented yet.
Yeah.
So again, the game is in early access, so they are still working on implementing stuff within this game.
Mm-hmm.
They have another release coming up soonish.
Oh,
They're
awesome.
working on it, Hearth and Home,
Yep.
which is going to expand building materials and stuff like that.
See,
And
I'm looking forward to that one.
yeah, because if you haven't gathered it yet, folks, Tim is very much the builder,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that loves to build stuff. So
Yep.
I'll plant an entire forest full of trees, and he will promptly go and fell them,
Yeah, that's what I do.
in order to expand his house.
It's what I
Um,
do.
yes. Meanwhile, I actually have the biggest house in the game,
Ironically, yeah.
ironically, which I have a castle.
He does.
I do, uh, but yeah. So you can make buildings and weapons and portals
Yep.
and
There's a
we
lot.
yeah we actually created an entire village essentially.
Mm-hmm.
um
Like
it-
we've
Tim,
got, let's see, your keep, mine, our friend Cody has a building there. We've got, let's see, a farm. We've got our B area. We have our tower of portals. We have guest houses. We have our longhouse. We
we have the
have
forge or the
yeah,
smithy,
we have the
sorry, the
smithy. We
smithy.
have a big guard tower, and the whole thing is surrounded by a stone wall, which is then surrounded on the outside by a moat. So I
Yes,
mean, it is pretty damn near impregnable.
yes. I mean, stuff can, like, enemies can still pop up and throw stuff at the
Yeah,
wall, but really the only dangerous enemy in the area that covers our camp that could potentially do something to it is a troll.
yeah.
And we have bridges,
Mm-hmm.
and they will smack the bridges and then promptly not be able to cross over into our little sanctum.
Yep.
So but the world of Valheim is so big that there's
Mm-hmm.
so many options to be able to, like, build bases and things
Yep.
like that, because we don't just have that main that I mean we have our main encampment where
Yep.
all of our good stuff is,
Yep.
all of our main stuff is, but I terraformed an entire island in order for us to build a staging ground to fight a boss.
Yep. You did.
um
The elder, right?
yes, the
Yep.
elder. There's the elder that I terraformed that entire, like, small island on. We have another, like,
So
land.
speaking of you terraforming, did you see the most recent patch notes
Yes, I did.
about how it takes a lot less stone to terraform?
Well, it takes less stone to raise
Raise
ground.
ground, which is what you had to do a lot of for that.
Yes, but here's the other thing. They fixed the exploit
Mm-hmm.
where if you pointed the hoe at the very edge of the ground you were standing on and
Yeah.
raised the ground, it would pop up the new ground directly to your height.
Oh, they did.
So you could
Oh.
use one. So you could build. You could have, like, a level that was like 10 units above the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and just point the hoe at the very edge, and then just pop the next level all the way up, and it would only cost one bit of stone in
Yeah.
order to do that.
Oh,
They've removed that exploit now,
gotcha.
which has a lot of fans actually very, very upset about this.
Right.
Because while they have reduced the amount of stuff that it takes to raise ground, they have also now made it infinitely harder to do. So you're really not. It's really a bad trade-off
Gotcha.
in most people's minds. Because I was also very good at being able to do it. So
Right. Yeah.
I mastered that technique.
You did it.
Uh,
Yeah. So you did it quite a bit.
yes. So yeah, I mean we've got our swamp base, which was a village that I found and fixed up, and
Yep.
then we've got
So we have several different ones in the plains and Black Forest.
yes, there's the overlook, which I built on top of a giant stone pillar.
Which is really, it
Um,
was genius, honestly.
yes, it was terrifying climbing up to the
Oh
top
God,
of
I
it.
bet. 'Cause that's not a short drop at all.
No, it's instant death drop
Oh yeah.
in the middle of the plains. So that's a run.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Valheim has definitely provided us one of the most engaging experiences as of late.
Oh yeah,
And we've
absolutely.
played many hours in it amongst Tim, I, our friend Cody. We all have had expended plenty of time in that game, enjoyed a lot of it. The great thing about the game is that it has a server
Yes.
option.
Yep.
So you can not only have you can play co-op with
Hmm.
friends. Basically, you start up a world on your own quote unquote local server,
Right.
which is just your local instance, and then they can join you through your friends list.
Hmm.
Um, or you can set up a dedicated server on a machine and have people join locally. Tim and I were never able to get the thing to work
Yeah.
across internet. I think there was something weird with our firewalls. We were just
Yeah. Just
it
wasn't
wasn't
working.
working. Um, but there's services out there that you can actually pay that they will host a
Yeah.
dedicated server, and then you just access and then you just log into that server at any time. So it's always available to you.
Which is
Um,
nice.
yes, which is very nice. It's really cheap in the
Oh
grand
yeah.
scheme of things.
Oh no,
Yeah,
yeah.
so especially when you split the cost between you and some friends, like it
Exactly.
winds up being just a few bucks a month.
Exactly.
Um,
Absolutely worth it if you're going to put any kind of time in that game with friends.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Very huge community online.
Oh yeah.
It's a very I would say it's a chill game, but it's also just a game that you can generally have fun in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing is like you even to build some pretty impressive structures, you don't have to really leave the starting biomes, the
Yeah,
starting
they
zones.
they
Like
provide enough variety in the things you can make that it's pretty easy to build something that looks pretty good. I mean, if you go onto the Valheim Reddit, I mean, I know you and I have gone there a few times.
Mhm.
There are some just absolutely impressive builds that I wish more people would post like real time, like well, even time lapse videos of them building these things. Like the pictures are great to look at, but I want to know how they did it so I can replicate some of these techniques. You know.
I know that there is technically a creative mode in the
Mm.
game. You have to do it on a local system, and it's through the
Yep.
console commands, which basically gives you access to infinite materials.
See, and
And
I've messed around with that a little bit just to kind of to learn how to build some stuff,
Mhm.
but not a whole lot. Not a whole lot though.
Yeah, I do know that's what a lot of people are doing these really impressive builds in is this creative mode because
Right.
you have infinite material so you can just kind of play.
Right.
Um, when you're in the actual game of Valheim, you have to farm for all of this
Hmm.
stuff. So, we say I say have a keep, and we have an entire base made out of stone and all this
We
wood
harvested
and
all
everything.
that by hand.
Yes, toting cartfuls of stone and copper and
Hmm.
iron and
Yep.
so many gray dwarf eyes.
I like that. That's one thing. Like I know the game is early access. I wish they would give us something more to use all those gray dwarf parts for because they're just like we don't want to like we do still admittedly we do still throw a lot of them into the ocean because you eat them out there. Um, but there's still a lot of them that we keep just because it's like, well, maybe they'll add something. Maybe they'll add something. So there are so many blind gray dwarfs in this world because of us. Well, I mean, they're dead, but
Well, yes, they're
there's a bunch
just
of gray
they're
dwarf corpses. Well, no, the corpse. There's a bunch of gray dwarfs that died with no eyes. There we go.
yeah. It's just that's the other thing is just not only just gray dwarf eyes, but just trash collection in general. There
Yeah,
there is no item uh discarding really in that
you literally
game.
just yeet it, and it's still
Right,
there.
right. You drop it, which I think is relatively, if I can be critical here, is kind of bad game design because the game then has to track all of those items and
Yeah.
remember where they are.
Yep.
So while it could just be a few bits, a few bits in a file that says, a line and a bit in a file that has a coordinate what this thing is
Hmm.
and where it's at, that still winds up being a lot
Yeah, especially when you're
after a while.
throwing away multiple things in multiple locations.
Right. So I mean, Tim and I want to we have the Yeaton hole.
The Yeeton hole.
It's a hole out in the middle of a field that we have a portal that goes to. We go through the portal, drop the stuff in the hole that we don't want, and
Yep.
then continue on our merry way.
So at least it's all in one location now.
Yes, or tries to be.
Yeah. Keyword is tries.
But keyword is yes, tries. It just kind of depends on how much stuff you're carrying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but trash collection would be one of those things that I would love to see in the game. I'd
Oh yeah.
also love the ability to tunnel.
Yes,
Like,
like you and I have talked about this before. Because like right now, if you try to tunnel, it doesn't just carve out a hole in front of you. It carves out from where you're at all the way to the the surface. So you don't have a tunnel so much as you have a trench.
yep. Which is the moat that Tim and I were talking about
Yep.
that we created. I literally, I literally took a pickaxe and just dug straight down and then around our base.
Yep. Well, like same thing. My house, in the base, well, I have a basement and then a sub basement. The sub basement is literally just a tunnel, and I'll explain. It's not really a tunnel, but it goes out to a cliffside that overlooks a part of the trench where it's almost a sheer cliff, but I can
Mm-hmm.
overlook a lower part of the area. To get that to actually work, I had to effectively line the roof, the quote unquote roof of this tunnel, with the floor of the basement above me, and put up support beams so that it would, structurally, it would still be sound. Which, getting on off topic here, the structural integrity system in Valheim, I think, is really unique because a lot of other games, like Minecraft is an example, you can make stuff that by all rights structurally should not be holding together. Valheim actually has a really good system that you have to have. Like, if you've got a bunch of like heavy stone on top of flimsy wooden rods, those are going to break and your building's going to fall because it's not structurally sound. So I'd
Yep.
actually put support beams holding up the floor of the basement in my quote unquote tunnel to be able to even get it to work.
Yeah, and the other thing is like if you you can kind of exploit this as well. If you anything that is attached to the ground that you then attach a building piece to is technically grounded.
Yep.
So I've seen some pretty impressive things where people have literally like the pine trees are the tallest trees in the game.
Mm.
They have literally just like built like planks
Yep.
around the trunk of a pine tree in a
Yep.
spiral staircase and built a whole house
I've
on top of the pine tree.
yep, I've seen people do that as well.
And that's actually how the Overlook came, how Overlook came into be, because it's a giant stone pillar
Mm.
that is stuck to the ground. So I was literally just sticking.
It's grounded technically.
Yes, I
Yeah,
was literally just sticking pieces of stairs to the side of this thing and building a staircase around it
that's how you
to
do it.
get up to the top.
That's how you do it.
So, yeah, that's how it all flows and functions together.
Yep.
But, yeah, so obviously we've kind of gushed about Valheim
Yep.
for a fairly long amount of
Yeah.
time, but it's
One that
worth
we really
checking out.
like.
And no, just like we say, we don't get endorsements from any of these people.
Yep.
If they want to kick us a few bucks because they're millionaires now,
Right.
I wouldn't cry about it. Again, Iron Gate Studios, indie studio, 5 people that work there,
Yeah.
and they have sold 6 million copies of a
Mhm.
game for $20 each
Yeah.
copy. So do the math.
They've made some bank.
Yes, even if Steam takes 30% of that, they made
That's still a good chunk of change split amongst
yeah.
5 people.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, yeah, so I'm trying to think of kind of other survival crafting games that you and I have really played or played with, experienced.
Right. I mean, like
I
we've each had a little bit of experience with Minecraft. I think I've had a bit more than you have.
Yeah.
Which I mean was kind of one of the first ones that really took off, and I mean took off well, and continues to be a pretty important and popular game still to these days. But I mean, at this point, we won't talk on Minecraft a whole lot because by this point, if you don't know what Minecraft is, then this whole episode has probably just been. I don't want this to sound mean. It's probably just been a waste because if you don't know what Minecraft is, survival crafting games are probably not your thing. You know?
Yeah, probably not. Well, it just popped into my head actually as I was looking at my Steam library trying to find material. Fallout 76. I
I
I
mean,
don't know
yeah,
how that one.
I'd say that's survival crafting. I mean, with an RPG aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean it's more story driven, but a big component of the game is building your own like base and your
Right.
own stuff. So you have a place to go back to, and that was actually one of my favorite things about Fallout 4. Actually, was the base building. Like,
Yeah, like I think I spent more time building my base, and like I never left. Oh goodness, what was the first time? Sanctuary Hills.
Good Spring,
Good.
wasn't it?
Was it
I think
in Fallout 4?
so.
See,
Yeah.
I thought it was Sanctuary Hills.
No, yeah, you're right. It is Sanctuary. Good
Okay.
Spring was New Vegas, I believe.
Yeah, but like I would do quests in that game specifically because I was going out for on supply runs, and I would just
Yes.
loot like everything I could until my pockets were full. And I dropped like one pound item just so I'd be just under encumbered. But apart from that, I spent most of my time just building up that base, and like I had all kinds of mods for it. So there was all kinds of new materials I could build, ways I could better organize my city, power it more efficiently, things like that. Um, that's what I spent most of my time in Fallout 4 doing.
See, I played through the game, but I also made a point to like build up every settlement, and I'm of the mindset that like I'm very defense oriented, which is
Yeah,
probably why I always play tanks in MMOs and things
right.
like that. I'm very defense oriented, so like when I would get a settlement, one of the first things that I would do is connect my supply routes so that I could share supplies
Right.
with all my things. But then I would also I would build walls around the whole thing
Yep.
so
Same.
that
Same.
so that things could only get into the points of ingress that I wanted them to.
Right. Funnel everything in.
Um,
Well, I mean, with Sanctuary Hills, that was really easy because you had that big bridge coming right in. So like I
yeah,
had
but things could get across the river.
they,
Like
they,
they could
they
go across the river. They could come across from the stuff like the forest behind you because it wasn't like you were at the
not very
literal edge of the
often
map.
though. Yeah, not very often
No,
though.
no, not very often.
Yep.
You're correct.
And like
Um,
I had Sanctuary Hills set up to the point where like the bridge was wide open, very inviting. I had a ton of turrets pointed at that because that's where I figured most everything would be coming from. But then when I noticed stuff was coming from the river and the forest, I put like automatic turrets, every so often around it. Which I don't think I ever had anything actually get in from the back. I had stuff try to get in from the front, and they didn't make it past the gate.
yeah, I had I could still boot up my game and actually check it out, but I had much the same. I didn't have a closed gate there, but I had a guard tower that sat near the near that
Mhm.
like that bridge. It was set back so that people could still get in and like
Yeah.
filter around it. But there was a guard tower there, and then there were like turrets that were aimed in that general area,
Yep.
and that there it was very well
Oh
defended,
yeah.
kind of thing. I one of the things that and I played the game mostly without mods. I
Mhm.
didn't add the only mods that I actually added to the game, and I played on my Xbox, so it
Mhm.
didn't have mod support for a long time.
Right.
The only mods that I wound up adding were ones that like fixed broken quests and stuff,
Yeah.
like stuff that Bethesda didn't bother getting around to fixing.
Right.
Um,
I think I know which mod you're talking about. If I remember right, that was like one of it may still be like the top downloaded mod, at least on
yeah,
PC anyway.
yeah. So I had the whole thing surrounded again,
Mm.
because there was a back way in because remember it leads up to the vault where
Yep.
you come out of.
Yep.
So I had a very small I had a small defensible position there, but nothing ever came from that
Right.
direction. Um, but if you remember when you started crafting there, some of the some of the houses that were falling apart, you could actually dismantle them for
Hmm.
materials.
Yep.
So I dismantled all of those old houses. So I just had like slabs.
Right. Yep.
Like I just had empty slabs. So I just started building more houses, like building houses and facilities on top of those.
Yep.
Like I took one of the biggest slabs and built like a multi-story house slash armory type thing that was my house.
See,
And
I know which one you're talking about. Like for me, the house that your character starts off the game in is the one I kept as my house, and I kind of built around it and whatnot. But that big slab, I know which one you're talking about. I made that into a community center slash housing for everybody else. And it was the same thing. It was multi level. So like the first level, I made it was a bar. Second level was all the how like the beds and everything were. Third level was like a like a rec room, so I had like pool tables, some of the like the exercise equipment. The
Yeah.
fourth level, I think I made into like a dance floor, so it's a very odd layout for this place. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and for me, for Fallout 4, you said you never really left Sanctuary Hills very
Hmm.
much. I went through the whole game,
Yeah.
and I wound up getting every location that
Oh
you could get
wow.
your hands on. And again, getting settlers, fortifying the locations,
Right.
like building supply lines. So every single one of my settlements was connected, so I could share materials between all of them.
Oh nice.
So I think there was like 14 settlements that you
There
could
was a
get in
lot.
that game. I had
I did set up a secondary one at the drive-in movie theater. The
yes, that one was
well, yeah,
huge.
just because like everything was pretty much flat to begin with. So I'm like, cool. It was a big open empty space for the most part. So I'm like, this will be easy to
Hmm.
build in. I don't
Yeah,
remember what I made in there, but I remember I spent some time there.
I took the movie theater or the cafe projection box, and
Yeah.
I built stairs around the outside of it, and then built this giant, really tall tower, and stuck a couple of missile turrets, and then and then I assigned a settler to it that I'd given a rocket launcher.
Oh God. So nobody's getting in there.
Yeah, and of course I had the whole thing surrounded by like concrete walls and gates and stuff like that. And then the
Right.
movie theater itself, like the projection screen, because you could get up to the top of that.
Right.
I stuck a couple of guard posts on the edge of it, and had people assigned up there, so they were like watching,
Yeah.
just to see. But yeah,
Nice.
so no, that one was a lot of fun too. We kind of got off topic of Fallout 76.
Right.
Fallout
Well,
4.
well I think that
Um,
that kind of says our thoughts about 76 that we didn't really talk about it much. It wasn't
we- I, didn't-
76
I didn't.
after launch and after they fixed a lot of stuff wasn't bad. But I feel that Fallout 4 did a lot of things better, even though it was only single player.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
Yeah.
If they took a lot of the ideas, I mean, they tried to take the ideas
Yeah.
from Fallout 4, but they just
Right.
didn't implement them well, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, Todd Howard's a legend. You can't win them all though.
You mean God
Todd,
Howard?
yes, God Howard. Um, yes, yes. So yeah, I think we've covered a lot.
Oh yeah.
I think we're probably about time for the night. So
There
we
we
don't
go.
want to we don't want to belabor the point too much more than we have to. But
Right.
so yeah, survival crafting games. It's what Tim and I are really kind of into these days.
Yeah.
Besides a few other genres of games, but um, we do have some things planned special
Yep.
coming up,
We
folks.
do.
So we hope that you'll stay tuned in. We will not tease you with them right now. All we will simply say is that we have some special plans for you.
We do.
So yeah, I think that probably is going to be about it for us.
That
Don't you
sounds
think?
yeah, sounds about right.
Okay. So, with that, we thank you for joining us again tonight on Non Sequitur Nerds. Again, you can always catch us on your favorite podcast platforms, Anchor.fm, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, which finally works,
Yep.
uh, and really many others. I think there's about 6 or 8 platforms that you can
Right
probably
around
find
there.
us
Yeah.
on. Also, find us on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
where you can see the live recorded sessions.
Totally.
Tim and I do occasionally do Wii plays, Let's Plays, that kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch us on Twitch, Non Sequitur Nerds, and you can also catch us on Twitter at Non Sequitur Nerd, because Twitter handles apparently were that one was too nerds was too long for
Yep.
us to.
The S was too long to put.
Yes, so Non Sequitur Nerds, Non Sequitur Nerd,
Nerd. Singular.
nerd. Twitter at Non Sequitur Nerd. So find us on all of those if you ever want to chat with us. Yeah, and check us out on the web, www.nonsequiturnerds.com.
Mm-hmm.
We occasionally update the website. It looks like crap. We know that. We're
Yep.
not webmasters. And we're too cheap to pay for one because we don't get paid for this. This is all
Yay!
just for our entertainment and
Yep.
enjoyment.
And hopefully for your entertainment as well.
Yes, exactly. So, with that, I think we will bid you all farewell, adieu, and a good night, folks. So, once again, for Non Sequitur Nerds, I'm Ian.
And yeah, I'm Tim. We'll catch y'all later.
Good night.